Hello, friends, and welcome to Quick Talkie. Today, we're diving into a region that's a treasure trove of history, a cradle of civilization, and, right now, a stage for heartbreaking tragedy. This is the Middle East. A place where the call to prayer echoes alongside the sound of bomb blasts. A place where people fight for their dreams but often lose their homes, their loved ones, their hope. This episode of Quick Talkie Middle East Crisis isn't just a collection of news headlines. It's a story of humanity, of pain, and of hope. So, join us on this journey. And if you find value in our stories, don't forget to subscribe to Quick Talkie. Hit that like button, share with your friends, and make sure to ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Friends, the Middle East crisis is nothing new, but in June 2025, it's taken on a terrifying new form. Tensions between Israel and Iran have reached a boiling point. Gaza is facing a humanitarian catastrophe unlike anything we've seen before, over 54,000 lives lost, 1.9 million people displaced. Even the quiet villages of Lebanon are no longer safe. Behind every headline is a human face, a heart, a story. Today, we're not just sharing numbers, we're bringing you the voices of those caught in this fire. June 13, 2025. A date that may go down in history as a dark turning point. Israel launched a massive airstrike on Iran, 200 aircraft, in what they called a preemptive strike. But the question remains, was this truly preemptive or the spark of a new war? Iran didn't sit quietly. According to Russian media, strikes targeted Israel's Rafael weapons complex and Haifa oil refinery. This war isn't just being fought on the ground, it's raging in the hearts and minds of millions. Imagine a mother in Tehran, holding her young child close, listening to the sound of explosions in the distance. "Mom, why is it so loud?" the child asks. And she has no answer. This isn't just a story, it's the reality for millions. The people of Iran, already under global scrutiny for their nuclear program, now live in fear for their homes, their families, their lives. Visuals: Gaza streets, rubble, a child clutching a broken toy. Now, let's turn to Gaza. The scene here breaks the heart. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, over 54,000 people have lost their lives, and more than 70% of buildings have been reduced to rubble. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, picks up her broken doll from the debris and cries, "This was my home." Those words aren't just a statement, they're a scream, one the world seems unable to hear. Humanitarian aid is arriving, but in the chaos of war, even aid has become a battle. UN General Assembly, world leaders speaking, the world is watching this crisis unfold. At the UN General Assembly, 54 nations raised their voices on the Middle East, but each seems to be speaking their own version of the truth. US President Donald Trump has demanded Iran's unconditional surrender. But is it that simple? On one side, talk of nuclear bunkers, on the other, the unbearable pain of Gaza's people. This isn't just a military conflict, it's a test of humanity itself. But friends, even in this darkness, there's a glimmer of light. In a small camp in Gaza, a volunteer named Ahmed hands out food to children every day. His face shows exhaustion, but his eyes shine with hope. "These kids will smile again because of me," he says. People like Ahmed are keeping humanity alive in the midst of this war. Quick Talkie will continue to bring you these stories, because every story matters, every voice deserves to be heard. Yet, the UN doesn't give up. The General Assembly, where every nation has a voice, stepped up in 2025 with a bold resolution. It demanded an end to Israel's occupation since 1967 and laid out a roadmap for a Palestinian state, to be discussed at the UN Conference on Palestine in June 2025. This conference could be a turning point, a chance to welcome Palestine as the 194th UN member state and push for a two-state solution. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called it a vital opportunity for peace, urging all nations to act with reason and restraint. But with world powers divided, can the UN turn words into action? Visuals: UNRWA workers distributing food, children in a Gaza camp, narrator, voiceover, emotional. While diplomats debate, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, is on the ground, fighting to save lives. In Gaza, where 70% of buildings are destroyed, UNRWA has delivered 57,000 metric tons of food aid since the January 2025 ceasefire. But the challenges are immense. On March 2, 2025, Israel halted all aid entries, leaving 600,000 Gazans without clean water after power cuts shut down a desalination plant. Imagine a mother, Aisha, in a Gaza camp, holding her child as he cries from hunger. She queues for hours, only to find the aid truck empty. "How do I tell him there's no food today?" she whispers. This is the reality UNRWA faces every day. Visuals: UN peacekeepers in Lebanon, UNIFIL patrols. In Lebanon, the UN's peacekeeping mission, UNIFIL, stands as a fragile shield. With over 10,000 peacekeepers from 50 countries, UNIFIL monitors the tense border with Israel, where Hezbollah and Israeli forces clashed in late 2024. On November 27, 2024, a ceasefire brought calm, but UNIFIL's role remains critical. They provide a backchannel for communication, preventing small incidents from spiraling into war. Picture a Lebanese farmer, Ali, living near a UNIFIL post. He hears gunfire at night but feels a flicker of safety knowing the blue helmets are nearby. "There are hope," he says, "but they can't stop everything." UNIFIL's mission is vital, yet underfunded and overstretched. The UN's work comes at a cost. Over 350 aid workers, mostly Palestinians, have been killed since October 2023, including 250 UN staff. In April 2025, 15 Palestinian paramedics, including a UN employee, died in an Israeli strike on clearly marked vehicles. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, condemned the violence, calling for accountability. These aren't just numbers, they're heroes like Fatima, a UNRWA nurse who risked her life to save children in Gaza, only to lose her own. Her sacrifice reminds us, the UN's mission is about courage, even in the face of danger. Despite the setbacks, there's hope. In January 2025, a US-brokered ceasefire allowed UN aid trucks to roll into Gaza through Zikim and Kerem Shalom crossings. The World Food Programme reported children playing instead of fleeing bombs. In a Gaza camp, a volunteer named Noor hands out bread to families. "I see smiles again," she says. "That's why I keep going." Quick Talkie is proud to share these stories, because every effort, every life saved, matters. At Quick Talkie, we believe informed discourse is the foundation of change. The Middle East's future depends not only on the actions of world leaders but on the awareness and engagement of global citizens. We invite you to join this conversation. Subscribe to Quick Talkie for more in-depth reporting, share this video to spark discussion, and follow us for updates on this evolving story. The path to peace is long, but it begins with understanding. Thank you for watching Quick Talkie. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you in our next report.